What's going on, fight fans? Welcome to the first ever Funkin' Flex MMA betting breakdown show. I'll be doing these videos weekly every Friday before the cards so you guys can get a look into how I build my card from start to finish. We'll be going over my dog of the week, my most confident picks, my lock of the week, some degenerate props sprinkled in there, as well as the parlays. So make sure you guys smash the like button, hit subscribe. I do these videos every Friday night, as well as my Wednesday night videos where I do the preview and prediction show breaking down every fight on the card. Make sure you guys tune in for that. Also, make sure you guys follow my Instagram, Funkinflex MMA. I will be recapping the picks that I do from my Wednesday video, as well as showing you guys my entire betting card for UFC Edmonton and every card moving forward. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the dog of the week. For the first Funkin' Flex betting breakdown show, I could not just give you one dog of the week, so I put my two favorites on here, and I really like both of these matchups. Garrett Armfield taking on Surrey City, and I just do not see Surrey City being able to outpoint Garrett Armfield. I do think the fight is likely to go to a decision. However, if there's any finishing potential here, I think it's going to be Garrett Armfield. Surrey City likes to score points off of the back foot, and with how much pressure Garrett Armfield likes to put on his opponents early on in fights, I think City's going to struggle to find his range, and might be able to get an early knockout. If not, I do think that he's going to be able to keep that pressure up for the distance, go 3 rounds, and take it to City, who just really did not impress me against the lower tier opponent in his first UFC debut. On the other side of the screen, you'll see Rose Thug Nasty Namajunas, and she needs no introduction. But I've got to go with her on this fight. She has a tough matchup against a young, improving Erin Blanchfield, but I think that this matchup really favors Rose in the sense that Erin Blanchfield's coming off of a loss to Manuel Ferro, who was able to dominate her. And Rose is honestly, in my opinion, maybe not as good of a striker as Furo, but I think that she may have better grappling and better takedown defense as well. I think this matchup is favoring Rose heavily, as Erin Blanchfield just is not going to be able to improve enough in the striking department to be anywhere near Rose's level. So for that, give me Rose by a long sweat out 5 round decision, but it's safe dog money here, guys. Lots of value on these two plays as they both have more experience than their opponents, and I think that they both have the edge in the striking department. Up next, my most confident picks. The first one of the night, we have Yusuf Zalal money line. I really wanted to put him in my DGen props section this week, but guys, he's just so well rounded. I think the sub is really live here against a Jack Shore who was just recently subbed by Ricky Simone. I think Zalal is just improving in each fight, and even though he's in his second run in the UFC, we just continue to see his striking and grappling improve, even though they were really top tier. I think now he's a top 15 fighter in the division, and I just think Jack Shore is on the smaller size. I think Yusuf Zalal is going to be able to out physical him and really beat him anywhere this fight goes. So while I think the sub has the best value at plus 700, I'm going to be laying the chalk at minus 330 on Yusuf Zalal. For my second most confident pick on this card, we're going Cody Gibson money line. I just don't think that Chad Anheliger is better anywhere than Cody Gibson. They both give up submissions easily, but what I will say is Gibson is getting submitted by much higher level fighter. I just think that Anheliger is going to really struggle in certain positions and getting out, and I think Gibson might be able to find a sub here, although the most likely outcome is probably decision. That's why I'm going on my confident pick. Gibson money line at minus 200 still has a lot of value, as Anheliger has been subbed 6 times in his 7 losses, and Cody Gibson does have some sneaky offensive grappling, even though he's been subbed 4 times as well. For my third most confident pick of the night, we're going Alexander Romanov money line at minus 110 at even value, when I think Romanov is the better fighter. Even though Nascimento only has 2 losses on his professional MMA record, the knockout to Derek Lewis was all I needed to see to know that this guy just really does not like getting hit. If you have a heavyweight fighter that tends to go decisions, when he fights the upper level fights like Alexander Romanov, Nascimento always seems to struggle. And that's what we're going to see in this matchup, guys, as Nascimento likes to use his clinch game and grappling to get dominant positions, and Romanov might be the slicker grappler. He's definitely the better striker, and in a heavyweight bout, that's all that I need to argue. So give me Alexander Romanov money line minus 110. For the fourth most confident pick on this card, we're going Brandon Moreno money line. This is another fighter who needs no introduction. He is known for putting on a career of some of the most exciting fights in flyweight history. Of course, we had the 4-fight series against Davison Figueiredo, but even since then, he had the impressive knockout over Kai Kara France, who arguably beat Amir Albazi in their last fight. A lot of people think that he did. He landed 2-1 significant strikes over Albazi and more takedowns, and somehow he still lost the split decision. I don't think that happens here against Brandon Moreno. I think Moreno is better where Kai Kara France struggles in the grappling department, and I don't think that Albazi is going to be able to use that wrestling to dominate Brandon Moreno. His last two performances are split decision losses against Alejandro Pantoja, who's the champion, and Brandon Royval, who's the #1 contender. And Amir Albazi just has not performed at the level that those two other fighters have. So I think that Brandon Moreno at minus 175 is still a lot of value, and that's going to be my fourth most confident pick of the night. My lock of the week, which is my most confident of the confident picks, we're going with Jasmine Jasudavicius here. I don't think that Da Silva has anything for Jasmine Jasudavicius. We see that Silva struggles with her chin. She's been KO'd 4 times. And even though that Jasmine doesn't have the most power, she has a lot of volume. And she uses her wrestling skill set to get in dominant positions, get the top mount, and just lay down ground and pound. Guys, I wouldn't be surprised if Jasmine gets this done anyway. So for my lock of the week, my most confident pick, give me Jasmine Jasudavicius at home in Canada. She's going to come out there with a dominant performance. A fan favorite section coming up next on the degenerate props. We have on the left side, you'll see Gibson by sub. I think that's extremely mispriced. I know the fight is favored to go the distance, but when you see Ann Helliger and the positions that he puts himself in, giving up his neck so easily, I think that Gibson has a sneaky offensive grappling game, and he may be able to tie up a limb or even get a choke in against an Ann Helliger who's been submitted 6 times and has 7 losses in his pro MMA career. So that plus 425 number looks really good to me, as does Romanov by KO at plus 325. We see Nascimento coming off of that late KO against Derek Lewis. And even though Nascimento won 3 decisions before that, 2 of those decisions were split decisions. And I think that Nascimento's gas tank, even though he is a heavyweight that does go to the decision a lot, I think that his gas tank may be a little bit suspect in this one when he's not able to get the grappling to go where he wants it to go. Alexander Romanov, great takedown defense, and he has a little bit of his own offensive wrestling in his bag as well. So I'm going to go the grappling department canceled out on this fight, and I think that it's going to become a striking match where Romanov is by far the better striker, and he may be able to finish a late Nascimento. On to the right side of the screen, you'll see some real degeneracy going on over here. I just think that Petrovic by sub has a lot of value, as we've seen Jamie Lee Horth just throw some sloppy takedowns in her career. Petrovic has shown the ability to grab limb in some of those compromised takedown positions. I think at plus 1,000, opening up the card, Petrovic coming out as a nearly 2-1 underdog and getting a sub to surprise the Canadian crowd. I mean, guys, last time they were in Canada, you look up the record, but I think that 1 out of the 9 Canadian fighters won. Maybe even if that, they might have all swept and lost. I should have looked that stat up, but nonetheless, I know that the Canadian fighters are not going to sweep, and I think Petrovic is in a really live spot to grab this sub here, or at least get a dub. But at plus 1,000, it's a degenerate prop for you. The last degenerate prop of the night, one of the most degenerate of degenerate props, is Air Jordan by sub at plus 1,600, fighting a Victor Henry that's never been finished. We have seen his chin wobble a little bit in his last couple of fights, and although I don't know if Jordan has what it takes to get the actual knockout, I could definitely see a club and sub being very live where Jourdain puts Henry in a compromised position and then is able to take the back and get his patented rear naked choke. I think Jourdain's due for a bounce back performance, and the sub is very mispriced at plus 1600. So give me a little sprinkle on Charles Air Jourdain by sub. Closing out the show is my personal favorite section. We got the parlays, and I've been known to be the parlay king. This is generally where I perform the strongest on all of my cards, and I think that I got some very well-rounded and balanced parlay for you. And I'm not going to read over every one, so you may have to pause the screen and kind of read through. Also, I don't want to encourage you guys to just blindly tail these. Get these as an idea for what you may like to put on your card. But do your due diligence, do some research on these, see if you see what I'm seeing on them. But from my footage that I've watched, I think that I have some pretty solid parlays here. I think that Zalal and Jazz Vicious is one of the biggest locks on the card at minus 118, combining their money lines. I think that that's a steal. Also, I want to point out the prop parlay that I have on the right side in the middle of the screen, the over 2.5s. I think that this is going to be a decision fest of a card. So when you stack four of the more likely fights that are to be decisions at plus 272, a lot of good value on that one. You'll see at the bottom of each section, I have some absolute degeneracy where I put all of my preview and prediction picks in a parlay together and see if we can pick the whole slate correctly. It wouldn't be the first time I've done it, but it's definitely long shots that do not hit very often, so tail with caution. And then on the bottom right hand, you'll see a crazy number of plus 392,600 odds with the D-Gen prop parlay, putting all four of the D-Gen props together. And lastly, the one that I want to point out is in the money line parlay section, middle of the chart. You'll see Zalal, Jazz Vicious, Gibson, Moreno, and Romanov. That is all of the confident picks and the lock put in one parlay together, guys. I really think that that's hitting plus 662. I will have a unit on that. And actually, all of these parlays you see on the screen will be a part of my betting card. The unit amounts aren't up there yet, but I will have all of the units that I'm betting as well as the full bets slip that I'm putting tomorrow posted on the Instagram. So check it out, Funk and Flex MMA. I have a lot of other great content coming to you soon in these 2 videos weekly. So make sure, remember to smash the like button and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Let's strike some fear into these sports books by getting on a consistent routine. Wednesday preview and prediction, Friday betting breakdown. There's no way we can lose. Put your heads in it together. Go ahead and put your favorite play in the comments section for me, and let's go ahead and start to cash some tickets here, guys. I really believe in this community, and this is just the beginning of a lot of great stuff to come. So thank you for being a part of it, and I'll see y'all next week.